There was a clear as day reason why the Golden State Warriors have been struggling lately, and I got it for you. This is going to be a quick video because it's a quick answer. Once again, welcome to the Mac Sports Attack. I'm the Mac himself, Marvin Allen Cox, and let's get right into it. So, the last couple of years, it just seems like there's no one that's been added to the mix since Jordan Poole has left. Like, yes, we know, we joke on him now as he looks horrendous in Washington, but he's still a starting guard, and he still contributed to their most recent title, their most recent ring. So he's one of the reasons you'll see in this explanation of why the Golden State Warriors are struggling the last couple years. And it's very simple, very clear as day, and it's probably the reason why Bob Marks stepped away as well. A lot of people thought that he didn't want to be the person to blow up their big three of Draymond, Clay, and Steph. But he played a big part in bringing them in. And that is the reason why the Golden State Warriors have been trash recently, is because they stopped drafting well. They stopped drafting well. All of the top three they have, Curry, Clay, Draymond, were drafted. And when they're drafted, they're matched together. And, you know, when you're drafted, your contract is low in the beginning stages. Hopefully you outperform it. So let's go on their draft history, and it proves this point tremendously, all right? 2007, Marco Bellinelli. 2008, Anthony Randolph. Those were good role players in the NBA, and, you know, they didn't really play a part of the Golden State Warriors, but they were good picks. They were solid picks. And then in 2009, with the 7th pick, you get Steph Curry. Steph Curry at 7, a steal. Going to go down as one of the, maybe the top 10 player all time. Stephen Curry, the best three-point shooter of all time. And he's just one of the best scoring guards of all time. Steph Curry in 2009, where there was a couple point guards drafted before him. As we all know, the Minnesota Timberwolves are kicking themselves to this day that they picked 2 guards ahead of Steph Curry. Ricky Rubio and Mr. Flynn from Syracuse, who actually was a really good guard in college, but injuries just made him not pan out in the NBA. So let's keep it quick. Let's keep it going. 2009, Steph Curry. We all know that. 2010, Ekpe Udoh was a good role player for them during their dynasty. We'll skip some of the picks that don't matter. The next year, 2011, Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson is going to go down as one of the best shooters all time as well. Huge piece to the Golden State Warriors dynasty. So winners, winners, winners. 09, 10, and 11, they hit. Go to 2012, second round, 35th pick, Draymond freaking Green. That might go as one of the best draft picks ever. Yes, we hit on Draymond Green because he is a little screws loose in the head, but he is a huge piece to the Golden State Warriors dynasty. I would say he's probably one of the best. I was going to go crazy and say he's the best second round pick ever, but we all know that's Nikola Jokic. So let's skip that. One of the best second round picks ever in Draymond Green. In that same draft, I lied. Yeah, in that same draft, their first round pick was Festus Ezeli. Now, it doesn't matter because Draymond ended up being a star, so you know you could have flipped them in the first round and second round. But Festus Ezeli, he played pretty good for them as a role player. Had a lot of injuries, but he was a solid player in the dynasty as well. So you've seen a hit. The next year, we got 2012, Harrison Barnes. Now, people forget Harrison Barnes was part of their original Big Four. It was Curry, Clay, Barnes, and Draymond. And, you know, they had to pay all 4 of them. They couldn't pick all 4. They ended up picking 3, and they did a damn good job of picking the right freaking 3. Sticking with Clay, Steph, and Draymond, and letting Mr. Harrison Barnes walk and go to Sacramento. He has not been the same player since. But that is how the Golden State Warriors became great. They drafted well. Then they got some good free agents, you know, like David Lee, Iguodala. People forget Iguodala was an all-star before They remember Iguodala at the end of his career when he was just a role player. But that's how the Golden State Warriors became a banger. Now, since then, it has not been the same. Between 2012 and 2015, they didn't have no picks. I'm guessing they used all of them as resources to win the championships, and it worked out. They got rings. They had, the second most wins in a season at one time. They convinced KD to come at one time. I mean, what a great freaking team they had. And then you go to 2015, Kevon Looney. Kevon Looney is still on the roster today producing. Great role player for them. Ended up being a great player in the dynasty. Countless of big-time rebounds and hustle play for them. The next year, they only had their first-round pick, I'm not even going to say his name. He didn't hit. But in the second round, 38th pick, Patrick McCaw. Patrick McCaw was a good player for them for a couple of years. He was a good little mid-range shooter, good player off the bench. He ended up being a solid player for them. 2017, Jordan Bell. Jordan Bell was a good little role player for them for a little bit as well. And then it falls off a cliff. 2018, Jacob Evans, Eric Pascal. 2019, Alan Samalagic. Don't know who the hell it is. But in 2019, they get Jordan Poole. So between 2009 and 2019, a freaking decade, they hit on drafts with role players and star players. And it was an aberration for the whole Golden State Warriors organization. And will go down as probably the best draft stretch in modern NBA history. You got 3 Hall of Famers out of it. You got good role players. You got a good starter who ended up you let go in Harrison Barnes. But since then, it's like, what the hell are we doing? Jordan Poole hit. He was a crucial piece to the dynasty as well, as he was part of the Splash Bro community in the later stages of their life. And, in that series against Miami, he helped them. He helped them win. But since 2019, what the hell happened? 2020, Mr. Jessup. Also in 2020, Nico Mannion, who I thought was going to be a good player, but he didn't end up well. And then you got in 2020, this is the biggest miss of the Golden State Warriors dynasty. If they had hit on this, the dynasty is still rolling. We all thought that it was a fucking... What the hell? It's not fair. They already had their dynasty. At one point, they had KD. Steph Curry gets hurt. Clay gets hurt. And they end up with the number 2 freaking pick. How? It's not fair. They got all the good luck, and they're winning on the court. But in 2020, they draft James Wiseman. And we're in 2023, 2024 season right now. Only 3 years. And for the number 2 pick to not even be on your roster anymore, says a lot. It says a lot. That was the biggest whiff probably in Golden State Warriors modern day history. James Wiseman at number 2. In that draft, man, there's so many options that would have helped out. Even if they didn't get a star, as you should at the number 2 pick. Which is weird. You get Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, all these guys not even in the top 7, top 10. Curry was 7. Klay wasn't in the top 10. Draymond's in the second round. They're getting all this value from good scouting. What the hell happened in 2020? Anthony Edwards was number 1. That's not their fault, right? But number 3, you get LaMelo Ball. Obviously, they probably didn't want to take a guard that high, because you have Curry and Klay still. Okay, that's fine. Let's say that's an anomaly, right? Patrick Williams, he's been hurt a lot. I can't blame him. But Isaac Okoro is not a great NBA player. He didn't turn out to be a star that as you want at number 4 pick. But at least he's a serviceable. He's a starting player in the NBA. I mean, he's probably like an average starting player. But imagine Okoro on the team right now. I mean, at least he would be on a roster helping out. Okongwu, they don't really have a big man shot blocker on the Golden State Warriors right now, where in their dynasty, they had Andrew Bogut, David Lee. They had some great post-presence player, and Okongwu, at least, at minimum, will be their starting center right now today. Obi Toppin, he's a good role player in the NBA. Danny Avdija, he's starting to turn out to be a great player. I mean, he's looking good. He's developing well. The dude from Greece at Washington Wizards. Now, the Wizards just suck, so you would like to see what he would look like on a good team. But he's starting to be a good player. Hence to say 2020, there was a lot of players you could have picked, and James Wiseman just wasn't it. Vassal's a good starting guard. He plays for the San Antonio Spurs, so a lot of people probably don't know about him because they suck. But Tyrese Halliburton at 12. Stephen A. Smith was right. He hyped him up. He went to the Knicks to get him. He said he was the best guard in the draft. Can you imagine if they got Halliburton and, Steph Curry doesn't have to really worry about ball handling anymore? Like he's just pure shoot mode. That would have been nice. Cole Anthony, I'm a Magic fan, of course. So, he's a good off-the-bench microwave scoring guard. Other than that, there's not a lot of players in this draft that hit. Sadiq Bey, Precious Achua, Tyrese Maxey at 21. I don't know how anyone lets a Kentucky guard drop all the way to 21. Their players usually pan out. Another Kentucky guard dropped all the way to 25, Emmanuel Quickly. Peyton Pritchard. There was a lot of freaking players. Desmond Bane at 30. Wow, that might be steal of the draft. There's a lot of players that slipped through the fingers of the Golden State Warriors, who is known as the supreme drafting team. For them to miss as bad as they did at the number 2 pick with James Wiseman in 2020. And then you go to 2021, where they had 2 picks in the top 15. They had the number 7 and the number 14 pick. A lot of people thought that they would combine them to trade into the top 5 to get one of the top 5 talent. In the draft, they usually say there's about 3 or 4 players that are can't miss. And in 2021, with the number 7 pick, they got Kuminga, which Kuminga, as of today, if you talk the beginning of the season, looked like a big mistake. But now he's turning out to be a great player. I think he's had 7 20-point games in a row. Having another one tonight, as they just won about 30 minutes ago. And Moses Moody at 14. So Wiseman ends up being a good pick as of today, right now, today at this second. Going into trade deadline on the 31st of January. So maybe that's not a super fail. Maybe that tide is turning. But just to look at options they could have, number 1, Kate Cunningham, beast. Number 2, Jalen Green, beast. Number 3, Evan Mobley, beast. Scotty Barnes at number 4, pretty solid. Jalen Suggs at 5, Giddey at 6. So if they had packaged the 14 pick with the 7, you think that somehow they would have gotten that top 6. I don't think they would have got number 1 or 2, but let's say they end up getting into the 3-4 range. Evan Mobley, fantastic center in the NBA. He does get hurt a little too often, but imagine him on the Warriors right now. He'd be wreaking havoc. Scotty Barnes, he's a fringe all-star player this season. I don't think he's going to get in, but imagine him on the Golden State Warriors right now. Jalen Suggs, he's not who we thought he was going to be. In Gonzaga, I freaking loved that man to death. I thought he was going to be freaking the next Russell Westbrook, man. I thought he was just going to come hitting the ground running, scoring 20, 25 a game. He's turned out to be a great defensive player. Like, he is a defensive showstopper. He might be first team or second team All-NBA this season. But he has been a little injury prone, and offensively, I just don't understand how he was a main offensive wizard in college, and he hasn't turned out to do much on the offensive end in the NBA. That's not part of this video here nor there, but he would be a good asset to the Golden State Warriors right now, as it would take a lot of pressure off of Curry. Curry could focus on the offensive end, knowing that the guard next to him is going to shut down defensively. After Kuminga, Franz Wagner, who's a beast for us, surprised me. I never thought he would be that well. But Moses Moody at 14. You got Corey Kispert after him. He basically would have been a fantastic addition to the Splash Bros. Sengun, man. Alperen Sengun is a baby Jokic right now for the Houston Rockets. Amazing player, amazing pick. He could have been definitely used. Trey Murphy, Trey Mann, Jalen Johnson, who's looking great. So many players. Quentin Grimes, Bones Highland, Cam Thomas, who's looking great for Brooklyn. He's a scorer. De'Aaron Sharp. Santi Aldama. I don't know if a lot of people know about him, but in fantasy, he's amazing. A lot of players that you get 2 first-round picks, man. And Moody's changing the tune, so maybe I'm over-exaggerating on saying they were trash in this draft as well, but you can see that 2020 draft, horrible, just miss galore. And that's what changed it for them. You had the number 2 motherfucking pick. Shit, I mean, you got Curry, Draymond, and Clay. Imagine if they traded the number 2 pick to a team that was probably hyped for Wiseman, They could have got a great player in return that could have helped them keep winning then and now. And then the 2022 draft, Gio Santos, Ryan Rollins, and Patrick Baldwin Jr. None of them have done much. But this draft, they've done well. All the way to the 19th pick, you got Podosminski. I can't say his name right, but he's a baller. So I think the reason why the Golden State Warriors are trash today is because they brutally missed on that 2020 draft pick, the number 2 pick in the NBA. You're supposed to have a star. And Jonathan Wiseman is probably going to go down as one of the biggest busts in NBA. Now, he's not Anthony Bennett. But when people are arguing that the Golden State Warriors are just trash because they're old and whatnot, that's not true. They had some good draft capital to get a Knicks young core to help the old players continue the dynasty, and they just didn't hit on that. So when you keep asking the question, why does Golden State suck so bad? Steph Curry's balling. I don't get it. They just couldn't draft, man. They haven't drafted well, and now they got to blow it up. We got a week until the trade deadline, which is February 8th. Do they finally blow up the big 3? Do they trade Klay Thompson? It would be a big shocker, as you would think that big 3 will be Golden State Warriors for life, and they're going to retire there. And what value does Klay Thompson have anymore? Is a change of scenery would be good for him, and maybe he'll start splashing again, get motivated again? Or is it over for him? Is it done? Let me know your thoughts. Do you think I'm crazy? Do you think my theory of them, the reason they suck is because they didn't draft well in recent memory? Or you just think, hey, the guys are old and it is what it is. Father Time is undefeated. Thanks for watching the Max Sports Attack. If you like the video, please like, comment, subscribe. And man, I don't care. If you don't like it, leave a comment. Curse me out. Tell me I'm crazy. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'm the Max Sports Attack, and I'm out.